Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new edition of Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers. I'm JB Long with my friends MJD and DeMarco Farr.
He's right there.
How are you, man?
I'm good.
Lambeau again, huh? We ready?
Listen, man, I don't know, man. The last time we went to Lambeau, I still have nightmares. Like, I wake up shaking.
You guys are in the booth.
And the booth was open. The window open, man.
Come on. Okay.
You're talking about the wind whipping off the top of that stadium into your face?
I can't believe it.
I don't think I was that bundled up in my life.
Oh, my God.
Ever.
It's going to be different this year, though. Yeah. Temperatures in the 50s. Going to be kicking off in daylight.
Balmy.
First weekend in November. Much different than December, January. Maybe the Rams' fortunes will be, too. They haven't won
and
there.
no Aaron Rodgers, thank goodness.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
That's a big difference.
Look at you making quarterback segues.
I'm just saying, yeah.
That makes it a little bit warmer, huh?
It makes it easier to go to Green Bay. You don't have to worry about that guy anymore.
You know, there's a groundswell out there in our audience to make this show longer, like to double the runtime of this show. So I don't know if you guys have anything planned for
I'm
this
in.
evening.
Let's go. Hey, yeah.
I'll thug it out. I can.
A lot to get to, but we all know where we're starting, right? Matthew Stafford's thumb. Better than expected. That's good news, right? He's going to play again this season, perhaps as soon as this Sunday. That wasn't guaranteed when we left Dallas.
That's good, right? He's going to play again. I wouldn't mind necessarily if he sat this one out. If you want Matthew Stafford, if I want Matthew Stafford on the field, I want him to be 100%, not compromised, not worrying about his safety. I'd rather go with a healthy backup versus a compromised starter.
DeMarco's been on this kick. He's been trying to convince me of this all day.
Yeah, I disagree, respectfully. Yeah. We're here to win games, and you're in the running for the playoffs, and we're in this race now, right? Like, if we would have beat Cincinnati, if you'd have beat Pittsburgh, and you were 5-4, then yeah, like you could say, okay, this game, but right now we're 3-5. We gotta start getting some wins. You gotta start stacking some wins. So how I'm gonna protect them is we're gonna run the football, knowing that their offense on the other side is struggling mightily. So we don't have to go in this game saying we got to score 35 points or 40 points to win or whatever we thought going into Dallas. We could just go in and run the football, play action pass, get the ball out quick, some screen game, and allow our defense to win this game for us and come out with a victory. But you have to win this one. It was like, I hate doing must wins, but right now you're in a must win situation. This team is down. They turn the ball over at high rates. Their quarterback is struggling. Their defense is playing well, but it's only if you hold the ball. If you hold the ball and do 7-step drops, Rashawn Gary will get to you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you're getting the ball out quick, if you're running the football, you could definitely move the ball down the field. And I think field goals in this game will win you ball games.
So you're in the camp of play left-handed if necessary, Matthew, but just having you in the huddle, having you back there gives you a different look when you peer across the Packers defense?
If we need a throw, we know you can give us one throw. And that's what it comes down to in this game. I think seeing Rippon throw a little bit against Dallas was kind of like,
Well, that's what gives me pause, because he didn't finish in Dallas. And that's the thing that scares me the most, because
why didn't he finish in Dallas?
But you need 9 if you have any hopes of making the playoffs.
Why didn't he finish in Dallas, though?
Because Micah Parsons was all over him?
The game, it was over. You were down 26 going into the third, right? Like, it was kind of, you scored, and then it was kind of, they went down and scored, and it was like, all right, like, the risk versus the reward isn't there.
Right.
Oh, so you're saying Dallas's long drive
kind
of eliminated any discussion about bringing him back?
That's what I believe.
Well, I mean, so you're saying they took his helmet from him. They said,
it's just like, you're done.
You may want to, and you kind of felt that too, that you're going to have to rip the football out of his hands.
You start thinking about protection. This game is out of hand. It's an avalanche. And I said the same thing about Aaron Donald. Okay, why are you going back in? You know what I mean? But it is what it is. You got to do what you have to do. But that's the thing. You need number 9 for the stretch run. So if you can get past a team without him to let him heal going into the bye week so he can be healthy coming out of the bye, I think that might be a smart move. But either way, as long as you get the W.
This week for Rippon's different, too. It's one thing to be pressed into duty. I mean, take us behind the scenes a little bit. Like, how little work does QB2 get in an NFL facility?
If you're doing, let's say if you're doing 10 reps a period, he may get 2, 3, possibly.
But mostly mental reps.
Yeah, mostly mental. Yeah, you're going to get 30% of the reps, 25 to 30% of the reps. And everything else is mental, right, on the back end. You may get some, depending on how your team's structured, you may do a lot of the scout team reps, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're Dak Prescott this week, you're throwing the ball, but you're not really doing our game plan reps. You got to do more mental in the classroom, all the stuff on your own, all those different type of things. And I get it. Like, you kind of get thrusted in. It's always stuff like anyone that gets hurt throughout the course of the game. It always puts you in a bind because you don't have time to prepare for that, right? You got to just make adjustments and try to go, and I understand that. But I think, again, in this situation, when you're going into Green Bay, you haven't won in Green Bay in a while, it's an opportunity to kind of steal one. You go steal it if you can.
All right, let's hear from Brett Rippon, because this week with Matthew Stafford sideline, we'll see if he goes Sunday. Rams could take it all the way to kickoff, but he is in the huddle with Cooper Kupp and with Darrell Henderson for the moment.
It's not as difficult as you would think. I mean, I think it's, again, I'm trying to do this as much as I possibly can, every single day. And I'm Zach's back there with me and acting like he's in the huddle, and I'm calling the play to him. And that's just kind of how I've done things since I've been in the NFL. So it's just the emotions of it all, getting into the huddle, actually feeling a live pass rush. It feels good to get hit, to be honest with you. Like the first couple hits you take, I think kind of get you back into the rhythm of, kind of feeling the pocket a little bit better and knowing, when guys are getting really close to you versus when they're maybe not that close and you might get rid of it a little too quick. So, yeah.
All right, let's tackle it head on, because I know the question is out there on our audience, our fan base, and Maurice has been asking me this question quite a bit. Like, why are the Rams in the predicament that they're in, where they're going with dress or win, sign back this week to give them a third option? And Brett Rippon maybe making his first start as a Ram this week.
I think the question for me was, you try to go get John Wolford. He didn't want to come back. That was kind of the news out there from it was Tampa Bay, right? Mm-hmm. He was on their practice squad. But to me, I get it. You want someone that understands your system, but you need someone that, let's just say Rippon gets hurt and you have to play.
I don't want to say that.
No, you got to think worst case scenario in this situation, right? Dresser Wynn's going to come in. Like, how are we going to then be able to maneuver? I need a guy. So it brought me back to last year of John Wolford and Perkins and guys that know your system, but necessarily don't have the ability to play. But then you get Baker Mayfield on a Monday.
So your argument is, why not invest in a backup quarterback?
Yeah, I think honestly, every NFL team should invest in a backup quarterback that's serviceable. And I'm not saying Dresser Wynn is or he isn't.
Let me press you on that. Who's serviceable? Give me that short list.
Carson Wentz. There's one right there that you can get for. He hasn't played in 2 years, but his arm is serviceable, where I know he can make the throws if need be, right? And I think that was the biggest thing last year. And again, I don't know if Dresser Wynn can or can't. I don't know, but I know he hasn't played. The team looked completely different last year with Baker Mayfield at quarterback than it had for 5 or 6 weeks. And that, to me, tells you that you need a guy that at least has the arm strength to be able to scare a team to say, I have to back up. Because if you can't back up, you can't play offense. And you know
no
that.
doubt. And that Baker Mayfield win was against the Raiders,
yeah.
And look how the Raiders are right now. So I mean, who knows? But look, if you're down to your third string quarterback, I mean, it's
Wildcat.
It's already Wildcat anyway. You know what I'm saying? So once you get past your backup, it almost doesn't matter who's the third guy.
I know, because of how they played in the first couple of months, and I've been as guilty of pushing this narrative as anyone, that our expectation level has risen.
No question.
Right? Since the summer. But let's keep in mind, there was no 2023 world, I think, where the Rams were going to invest in a backup quarterback.
No.
If 9, 10, and 99 are playing, is there any team in this league they can't go beat on a certain day?
Healthy and ready and going?
Yeah.
No.
If one of those pieces falls, and especially if your quarterback falls, are the Rams going to contend for much this season?
No.
So I think the plan, to rewind time a little bit, that they mapped out is, one, investing in a QB2 is a bit antithetical to the plan for this season, which was to try and thread that needle with, while our guys are our guys, if everything's right, we can go get something.
Right. Mm-hmm.
If not, we are clawing back resources and pouring into 2024 and beyond. But here's the other thing, too, because I hear what you're saying about Wentz or like a Colt McCoy or whatever. Better resume, yes, but even mediocre backups in this league are expensive. Like, I went and looked. You know how much Tyrod's making this year?
How much is he making?
$7
million.
Trubisky's making $6. Darnold's making $5.
Wow.
Jameis getting $4.5. Lock $4. Minshew
this is the thing.
$3.5.
Those guys were like on the roster though. You're coming off the couch, buddy. Like,
so you're saying just tease them with a veteran?
Yeah, come on and get you this vet man. Maybe get your career. If you're Carson Wentz, you're hunting in North Dakota right now. Like, come on, get this vet man. Let's get your career kind of going back. Look what we did for Baker. Hey, look what we did for this guy. Like, there's a bunch of stories and players that the Rams have kind of revitalized their career. Get this vet man, We may need you for a game or two. Keep us going, and then we can go. And I understand. I'm being devil's advocate. I understand the importance of knowing the offense. Dresser Wynn was here all OTAs, all summer. Awesome.
Because you're preaching, hey, just understand the language, get us in the right play, let us lean on our running
Exactly.
game.
At least I can talk to you.
Right.
You know? Yeah.
But then also I understand when it gets tough, I need someone to be able to throw that ball 45 yards down the field.
All right, let's see what it looks like from Rippon when he's got a week to prepare, if we go down that path, which DeMarco is advocating for. I've had enough of our problems. Can we talk about some Packers problems, specifically their quarterback situation?
Let's
and not to pile on Jordan Love, but he's last in the league right now in completion percentage. He's been picked in 5 straight games, to your point, about turning the ball over. League high 8 interceptions since the start of week 3. His QBR in that time, second worst to only PJ Walker. So I think you told me via text this week, like if there's a moment in time to be without your starting quarterback, maybe this is the week to be going to face the Packers.
This is it. Yeah, I mean, look, they don't have a ton of weapons in Green Bay. Can you name one Pro Bowler on offense right now as they look?
No, they're all hurt.
That's what I'm saying. So it's a pretty pedestrian offense
Aaron Jones.
now.
I'll give you Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones
When he's been on the field,
and
they've been a lot
and they
better.
they don't utilize him the way they should either. But
Well, the other guy, Thighmaster, AJ Dillon, is an absolute hammer. I mean, so yeah, you're going to split carries with that guy. But I like Jordan Love. He's very athletic. He's a guy that will give the Rams defense problems because all mobile quarterbacks have and will because of how you're playing out there. But he's a guy that you should be able to control. He's a guy that might throw it to you. And so this is your day for takeaways.
Not might. I think he will. And the other thing is this, like, we always talk about champagne problems, right? And like, I think if you're the Green Bay Packers, you traded away Aaron Rodgers saying this is the guy we're going with and this is the result you have, right? So they're pressing.
They hedged their bet a little bit with the contract they offered him.
Yeah, but you're pressing, right, a little bit. And so this is the thing. They have a ton of young receivers. They have offensive line issues.
Young tackles. Inexperienced tackles.
Your quarterback is struggling seeing the field right now, and you know that they're going to lean on their 2 running backs, right? And so, to me, the biggest thing is you have to get to him now, like right now. Or like the Rams against the Cowboys. Sack, don't have the illegal touching or whatever they called. That wasn't that. But get those sacks and get to him now to get him happy feet. Because once he gets happy feet, he starts to throw the ball to anybody because he can feel the pressure.
Tell me you guys weren't encouraged that the first 5 snaps of that Dallas game. Hoyt gets a sack. Next play, Byron Young gets a sack. Couple plays later, Aaron Donald gets a sack. So you bring that same sort of intensity and you don't have the silly bail you out call and you get off the field. That entire game is different. Yeah, so bring that same intensity to Green Bay. You'll get after Love just like you got after Prescott.
I got to ask, like a stat research company, how many drives end in touchdowns when you get sacked 3 times? I bet it's like less than 5%.
Oh my gosh.
In the National Football League. You mentioned 2 running backs, though. How about the Rams' 2 running backs? Before we get to more about the Rams' defense and the trade deadline and some other things we're going to talk about on this show, they're doing okay despite the loss of Kyron Williams. Like, to my eye, Darrell Henderson looks like an NFL starter still.
Oh, no, they're doing great. I've said this on our broadcast multiple times. I'm a huge fan of Royce Freeman. I think Darrell gives you a different explosiveness than you've seen. He's faster than Kyron and Ronnie. He has a different explosiveness to him when he touches the ball. He runs with behind his shoulder pads. He falls forward a lot. But then Royce, it's starting to get cold. And I know it's not going to be as cold in Wisconsin, but as it starts to get cold, 240 pounds, you talk A.J. Dillon Thighmaster, he's only 10 pounds less than heavier than Royce Freeman, right? That is a guy that starts to wear defenses down and breaks you down and then opens up your play action pass. So to me, I think the Rams struck gold with the fact that you kept Royce Freeman on your roster. You're able to sign Darrell Henderson, and then you had the other two, obviously Ronnie Rivers and Kyron to get hurt, right? So now you have 4 guys that you can count on and lean on down the stretch if you need to when they come back. If you keep 4 guys.
And has any screen been as effective as the one they hit with Darrell?
Oh, my
God.
no.
Wow. God.
Oh, my.
If you get an element of that in your game plan moving forward, too, that'd be great.
I mean, I want to say Darrell's first carry was, 8 or 9 yards?
Yeah. When he first came back? I think
against Dallas.
Against Dallas. Yeah. His first carry was 15, right? He ripped off a 15-yard run straight off the couch. So give the butt and gut guys credit, too, the O-line up front.
No question.
They've been doing a fantastic job. So, like we said, they got wider, they got nastier. You can lean on them. You can lean on a running game. You can definitely lean on them in Green Bay.
The Cowboys scored in all 3 phases, right? Like that was a runaway train. And Sean McVay said in Maurice's seat on Monday, essentially we got to start making some of those plays. And I feel like this is the week for that because the Packers are turnover prone on offense, but also because the Rams are right now like the most efficient special teams unit in the league. Like DVOA measures efficiency. They're 32 out of 32. It reared its ugly head last week. And so this is a game where I'm not just talking about making your kicks. That's a good starting point.
Yeah.
But you need to positively impact a game in a different way with a return, with a non-offensive touchdown. This offense has carried you to this point. It's been the best of the three units. Defense, special teams show me something this week going into the bye.
Do you have anyone explosive as a returner? I mean, I think the best...
Not a Turpin type.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. The guy that can blow the game up. Man, could that kid move, Turpin. Oh, my God, was he flying. But
he was jogging and running past people.
It was incredible. That is a game breaker. But I think special teams wise, the best thing you can do is not make mistakes. Make your kicks, field the punt cleanly, and don't give up block punts.
Tamp down returns,
and go cover. I think that's the best thing. You should be able to do this with the guys you have.
It's funny because it's kind of like an offensive lineman. Like, I don't want to hear your name called.
Right.
The best offensive lineman, you never hear their name called. And that's the same thing with special teams. It should be either, decent returns, great coverage, kicks made. I think for the Rams, it's been the opposite, right? And this is kind of something we've seen throughout. I would say this. Last week showed everything that we were worried about throughout the preseason and OTAs, right? If you thought about it, it was just like young players making mistakes, inexperienced corners, special teams was an issue, turnovers on offense that we've seen. It just kind of everything just came to head in Dallas. Now, the question is, and when we talked with Sean after the game, was how do you watch this, figure this out, and then get better and move forward? And I think that's going to be the question. Those questions will be answered here in a couple days.
And which sample size are you buying into?
Oh, that was
the 4 quarters in Dallas.
That was a one stinker.
They didn't look like a contender,
right.
Or the prior 7 weeks where they had a path to victory in every single one of those games. But
yeah.
One of the ways that I see this manifesting is the Rams are 29th in the league in average starting field position.
Wow.
They're almost always asking their
Long
offense
field,
to go
yes.
long field. And when they did get the rare takeaway, those takeaways haven't turned into 7, either in the hands of the defense or shortly thereafter. But now the trade deadline has come and gone, beg your pardon. And so the Rams are who the Rams are going to be. They stood pat, no buying, no selling. Here's Sean McVay's take on what transpired or didn't transpire come Tuesday afternoon.
I feel really good about a lot of the things that are going on. It always is about, okay, if there's an interest, and then, is there somebody that we're interested in, or vice versa? So, it takes two parties to be involved in things like that. But, the nature of some of the situations with us in general that you're familiar with, limited in terms of, all right, going out and actually, bringing people in. And feel good about this. I feel good about, a lot of the things that I think we're capable of doing. Obviously, we're not pleased with where we're at through 8 games, but I can see through, and I see a lot of light in regards to some of the things that, you're not just saying it's a false hope. You can see tangible evidence on the film that's reflective of, I know we can be better in some of these areas. And I know I've said that to you guys before, but that's where, you feel really excited about it. This opportunity this week, get the bye, and then you come back for the last 8 games and see what we can do with it, where there's a lot of football left to be played.
And of course, Maurice couldn't help himself while we're listening to that. He's talking about Chase Young just landing in the 49ers' lap for a deep third.
A deep third. I mean, the Niners
not
are
funny.
It is. It's so scary that you just have to laugh. Like, their defense is struggling for 3 games, and they're like, "Look, we've had enough. We're gonna go get the other guy that rushed with Nick Bosa in college, and they were just tormenting people. Now we're gonna bring him here in the league and go. And they're both young. That's the other scary part. And the thing is this: the Niners are gonna rent him for a year. He's gonna hit free agency and probably go on. And
they'll get that pick back via the comp formula.
Exactly. Wow. And it's just like, how does this happen? How?
The question to me, though, coming off that soundbite from Sean is, what are the Rams playing for, right? And I feel like the news on Stafford gave them a reason to stay in this fight.
Yeah.
And you look at their schedule to date, winning percentage of their past opponents, 576, 9 games above 500. They've played one of the best schedules in the league. They've played a road-heavy schedule. They've played some of the best pass rushes in the league. The remaining schedule, 464 winning percentage, 5 games below 500. So I look at that playoff bubble, it seems mushy to me. And I think 9 wins gets you into the postseason. maybe I'm the one being unrealistic.
No, I think you're dead on.
But without going down the list and saying them, I see a path to 9 wins if the right guys are on the field.
And probably so do the other 4 teams. They look at the Rams the same way based on the tape you just put out there. So, and look, it all changes if 9 is not in the game or if he's compromised. So I don't want to keep beating that drum, but definitely. But I'm with you on the Chase Young thing. That got scary in a hurry. San Francisco's already scary. Now they got even scarier. They've got more of a pass rush. So if that guy was headed west, I thought he might come here to help out Aaron Donald. So when that passed, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is where we are. So then I thought maybe Matthew Stafford isn't as banged up as he seems to be, and then you get wind that he might play. So it is what it is. This is your football team. Like I said, that was your Sunday best in Dallas. That was your best roster outside of Rob Havenstein. You didn't play that well. You got steamrolled. So let's see if you can take that same group down to Green Bay and get a victory over a team that's probably has more struggles than you do at this point. And I still think, even if you do have to start Brett Rippon, who do you give the edge to in quarterbacking? And by how much? Right. Not very much, right? So this is a game that is on the table for both football teams.
I would say this. I love the fact that the Rams stayed pat because, again, I think that the second half of the schedule is very favorable for them to be able to kind of get rolling and get momentum and always look at the past and kind of what happened. I remember going to San Fran the Super Bowl year, getting stomped, not winning in November, right? You got to hit some type of adversity. And I feel like Dallas was like it was like Cincinnati kind of started it, Pittsburgh was the middle, and then Dallas, it all came to a head. Now it's time to see this team kind of turn the page and get going. And so when I look at this and I look at what the Rams are doing, you're running the ball better than you ever had in the last 3 to 4 years, well, at least since Todd Gurley, right? Play action pass is working. You're getting to the quarterback quickly. You do have to fix special teams, which special teams was an issue a couple years ago to win the Super Bowl. That special teams was an issue early throughout that year. So these aren't problems that the Rams haven't faced before and haven't fixed, I guess is what I'm trying to say, right? It's just these are issues that they've become accustomed to over the years, and they've been able to fix them. So I can see why they stayed pat and they're ready to kind of push.
And coverage too. Like, let's just call that out. Going to Dallas, they'd only allowed 4 passing touchdowns all season, and they'd had some good moments, they'd had some bad moments. But then Dak gets them for 4 through the air, and it looks a lot worse maybe than it has through the first 7 weeks.
CeeDee Lamb looked completely different, didn't he?
CeeDee Lamb wasn't covered on one play.
Yeah, he looked completely different. Yeah.
Couple things. You mentioned November. The Rams haven't won a November game since Monday Night Football at Tampa Bay in 2020.
Did you know
it's been
that?
Long.
He hit me with that.
Listen,
I called him a liar.
I told you November hasn't been kind.
So let's get rid of that.
Yes.
And the Rams are seeking their first win in Green Bay since 2006. 5 straight losses, including the playoffs since. Couple of streaks, nasty streaks, they can end this week.
Like I said, I feel better because that guy isn't there anymore. Yeah.
State of the Packers, I feel like we've touched on throughout our conversation so far. I'll just add this. The Packers have scored 20 or fewer points in each of their last 5 games, and they traded Rasul Douglas this week. Douglas was one of the defensive backs that I thought gave the Rams some problems, had the pick 6 against Stafford a couple years back. So I wonder what their disposition, their attitude is going to be like when they show up to work this week. Like, what kind of signal did that send to their locker room with only 2 wins?
Well, it could go one of 2 ways. Either it sends you all the way to the bottom or you start to rally. Now, look, I look at their defense and they've got some great parts.
Yeah.
They really do. They have some talented athletes. The 2 guys they just drafted in the first round this year, those are going to be studs at some point. But for some reason, that defense has not come together. Now, blame whoever you want to blame, but that's just the issue. And offensively, like you said, it's very pedestrian. You have young guys at receiver and a quarterback that's trying to figure it out. If this isn't the time for this defense to step up and be dominant, then I don't know what is. Like I said, this is why I keep going back to the Brett Rippon thing. This would be, if you could pick a week to start a backup quarterback, this would be it right here. So this is a game you should be able to win by running the football and playing tight
Statistically,
defense.
they do look gettable on defense. However, not that I'm giving Joe Barry and company a pass, but they haven't been getting much help.
No. I mean,
they haven't been put in many favorable situations where they can go get after.
And they just paid Rashawn Gary. So, like, I understand trading Rasul. You're not going to pay him. So you got to get something for him. That's kind of probably the deal. Like, we just paid a dude that's performing.
Yeah.
So that sends a different message as well. Okay. Like, hey, this guy's getting sacks. We just cashed him out. Right. The other guy, we just couldn't. We didn't have him in the budget, so we wanted to get something for him. So that's a different mentality. It's just, man, I don't. It's Green Bay. It's up there. You just, Rashawn Gary is getting after quarterbacks. Like, it's just, to me, like, and for the Rams, it's a must win. And that's why I always go back. Like, this is one of those games where you need to get this one. Not have to, but you really need to get this
going
win.
into the bye week.
Going into the bye week.
Jair Alexander and the Packers feel the same way too. I mean, what else is he going to say? But he's showing up to work saying we're going to win these next 10 games.
Yeah.
We're going to run the table. So you might get that version of the Packers too.
Exactly.
What is then your key to victory?
Go ahead.
Running the football. You said it. I love the way this team has run the football. I love the way this offensive line has been coming off the rock. If you didn't have the mistakes in Dallas and that game stayed even, if you didn't have the benefit of those, or if Dallas didn't have the benefit of those bad calls that kept them on the field, that gave up the touchdown in the first drive, and you let this offensive line pound on that defense, I think you run the daylights out of the football. I think the same can be true about the Packers. If you don't hurt yourself, if you don't make mistakes, and you stay efficient and stay on schedule, you should be able to run the football and play defense behind it enough to win this football
Micah
game.
Parsons isn't playing nose against you if you're ahead of schedule.
You guys should have heard him, man. I'm coming. They can't stop me.
Listen,
Yeah.
when he started to play the nose, I was like, oh, no, we didn't want that.
It's interesting, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like, because you understand, too, that's tough on any center. I don't care the best centers in the world. It's hard to a guy that's over you. Like, you ever seen Myles Garrett do the basketball thing over the center?
Yeah.
Like, you have to guess because he has a two-way go. And he's going to go away from the slide. So
Think about it. Their best pass rusher is on theoretically your worst pass blocker. It's the center, the guy that's uncovered most of the time. Then they find a way to single him up. Oh, goodness.
And such a flex, too, because you're still saying we're good enough on the edge to win out there, too,
Right.
even moving this
Tip
guy
the
inside.
cap,
All right. I didn't mean to go on that tangent, but it did come to mind.
It's going to keep coming back up. Mine's going to be no turnovers or winning the turnover differential. Like, get turnovers and then don't turn the ball over. I think, again, if you can do that, right? The pick six, I think the pick six was the first touchdown was fine. Getting the field goal was cool. Coming back out and giving a pick six, that's when the snowball just started to get too big for the Rams to be able to hold up. You can't throw interceptions, and you have to take the ball away on defense. You have to get at least one turnover on defense to set up a score or score on defense.
Mine's going to be like the biggest cop-out key of all time. Like, I roll my eyes every time someone says they got to start fast.
No.
Right? Like, that's just like, okay, show me the one football game in the history of the sport where some team's like, we'll be fine as long as we don't fall behind by more than 10, like we got this. No, everybody wants to start fast. You want to play from the lead, but I think it's especially pertinent in this situation because of what we talked about with the Packers. They've scored 9 points combined in their last 5 first halves. And if they are in a fragile state, if they are looking like they're on the brink in terms of what are we playing for, is this season going anywhere, don't give them hope.
Yeah.
Turn out the lights. Let Titletown know it's not this year for you guys. Because the Rams helped the Packers get back on their feet last year, remember?
Yeah.
I mean, we're walking around that place at Lambeau and like not even the most diehard Packers felt like they had a playoff chance. I was like, really? Because I look at your roster and I think you guys can get on a heater. And they're like, nah, it's just not going to happen.
They were talking about dumping Rodgers. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And then, if not for Jared Goff and the Lions in that week 18, they would have been in.
I got
They
to
would have
tell
been
you
in.
something
So don't
about
let them get
starting
back.
fast. It's all about morale. Right?
Yeah.
When you feel down and you've been beat up a little bit and you're coming off, starting fast changes everything. It's like being in a boxing match, whoever's hands let go first, whoever can let go of their hands first, that guy's going to have the better chance of winning, right? And so I think for the Rams, having a successful explosive play in the first 3 plays, right? Getting that confidence back, having Puka Nacua flex or Cooper Kupp catch a pass, right? A tough pass, those things, it brings energy. And as that energy goes, all of a sudden, it starts to snowball for you, right? Like, that's what you want.
I'll say this, DeMarco. If you want to give Stafford the week off, you better tell him that the plane leaves at 3 when it leaves at 2.
I know.
Or that the bus leaves at 9 when it leaves at 8:45.
He's a tough guy.
Because if he gets in that stadium...
I wouldn't want to be the guy that tells him he's not playing this week.
Me neither.
Yeah, it's fun to say it in here. It's different to say it to his face.
I'm next to him like, we need you. Come on. You need extra treatment? I'll bring you. I'll stay late. I'll do whatever it takes. What do you need? You need groceries? I'll go get those too.
Wow.
However we got to do it, we'll get it done because we need you. We need it all. That's the mindset. Listen, I get it. I'm the opposite. Hey, we'll just keep playing this day till the wheels fall off. We'll figure it out. And I think Stafford, I love that. I love that. I loved him coming out of half, making that throw. I forgot who the first throw was to, but then making that throw to Skoranek, right?
Oh, yeah.
With the thumb, and then making a heck of a catch, better catches than most receivers that we've seen in the league. And, like, I need that.
Nothing heals faster than a win, right?
No doubt. It's good deodorant, too.
Oh.
Covers up a lot of stink.
For MJD, DeMarco Farr, I'm JB Long. Looking forward to being back at Lambeau Field, hopefully on the winning end this time in Week 9. Thanks as always for being with us for Between the Horns, presented by your Southern California Toyota dealers.